Hello, I'm recording. It's Easter week. Hopefully you're all going to get lots of lovely Easter eggs and enjoy the season. And because it's Easter, time of Christ being crucified and rising again on his third day of being in the tomb, in his spiritual body he was risen into, I thought we would talk about spiritual bodies. And in the Gurdjieff work, this is the Kesdjan body, which maybe is what Christ created, his Kesdjan body, so that his soul could go into it and then was able to come back to this earth and talk to his disciples, who then went on to become the apostles. And of course, the first person he saw was lovely Mary, the feminine. And sorry about that, forgot to turn my phone off. So Christ has returned in his spiritual body. And Gurdjieff discusses how we have all these different bodies, and we do. We have the astral, the etheric, or etheric, as some people call it, our physical body, our soul body, our car body in the Egyptian world. That's also called the Ba, is the soul body, which is, if you look into ancient Egypt, is the the bird body with your little head on top of it, that is representing your soul body, which is what we want to develop, so that when we do pass on from this world, when we do finally die, to put it bluntly, we need that Kesdjan body made ready for our soul to go into. Otherwise we get caught back up in the reincarnation process or the recurrence process, depending on what you believe in, and our soul goes round and round again into this life, this earth. So with the Kesdjan body, we're talking about developing it, which is part of what all this work is about. And Gurdjieff gives us many different exercises. He explains the process of it all in the All and Everything books, and in his Meetings with Remarkable Men, Life is Real, Only Then When I Am. That it's all said there. Okay, not maybe in a simplistic way. It's something needs study and pondering, because to create our Kesdjan body takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, as all of this does. So with the Kesdjan body, I was going to start with Meetings with Remarkable Men, page 222. Please excuse my pronunciations. So Gurdjieff's been meeting these remarkable men, and he gets to ask a question to one of them. His question is, give us your advice, so far as this is possible, on the life we should live and the ideals that we should hold before us, in order that we may ultimately be able to live as designed from above, capital A, and as is worthy of man. The words then spoken by this old Es Varona, the wise old man, I will also record, but only in the third series of my writings, in a chapter entitled The Astral Body of Man, Its Needs and Possibilities of Manifestation According to Law. And many people have looked for this chapter. There's no title anywhere with that chapter, but maybe his books are these chapters, and we have to delve deep into the books to find the answers. As he says, there's many laws to do this, and he's explaining the laws throughout his books. That's why the series is called All and Everything. It is all in there. Everything is in there. We just need to work on it to do it. We can't just be given these tidbits, and then we're not making the work and the effort ourselves. We won't appreciate what we're doing. If we put the work and effort in, we appreciate the results. So carrying on with Meetings with Remarkable Men, page 243. This is Gurdjieff speaking. I shall place them as relating to the question of the soul, that is the third independently formed part of the common presence of a man. In the chapter entitled The Divine Body of Man and Its Needs and Possible Manifestations According to Law, in the third series of my writings, as complementary to two chapters of the same series, one devoted to the words of the venerable Persian dervish concerning the body, that is the first independently formed part in the common presence of a man, and the other to the elucidations of the old Varun concerning the second independently formed part of a man, namely his spirit. So Gurdjieff's given us clues there as to where he's put this in the books. Might not be able to find that chapter that he's saying, the title he's given, but if we can find them sections, that's where there's more advice and caution and the way of doing it. So if All and Everything, Beelzebub's tales to his grandson, tells us how to develop this Kesdjan body. And as many of you know, it's hard work to read Beelzebub's tales, but that hard work will pay off if we persist. We have to fathom the gist, as he says. So, page 131. Sorry, eating too many Easter eggs and chocolate, getting stuck in my throat. Page 131 of All and Everything. The duration of their existence was according to the Forlan-Littmanian principle. One of Gurdjieff's words. Again, when you read work in these books, you have to find out what these words mean, and you can look at the etymology to try and explain them more. He does give explanations for a lot of his words. Some he doesn't, but the etymology is there to look for. And I've said before about getting the guiding index, which will help you with that kind of thing. So the duration of their existence was according to the Forlan-Littmanian principle. That is, they were obliged to exist until there was coated in them and completely perfected by reason what is called the body Kesdjan, or as they later began to name this being part of theirs, which contemporary beings know only by hearsay, the astral body. And it is by hearsay. It's not spoken of in everyday language. Most people have never heard of the astral body, or if they have, it might be through some little glimpse of the New Age or a spiritual teaching of some kind. It's really only been thrown more into esoteric circles and occult circles in the last 100 years, caught up with all the New Age and everything. But it's the astral body that we're trying to develop, as well as becoming harmonious within ourselves, so we can make contact with our higher centers. And like I say, with this astral body, it's there for when we die, but it's also there for while we're living. In this world, we need an astral body for our bodies to operate. The astral body, again, kind of like the aura, it's the energy coming up and through and round. And our astral bodies can be damaged by how we're working in life, how we take things from people, how people either love us or hate us. That astral body is what we're projecting out as well. It's kind of like the aura, but it also needs to be developed, ready to hold that soul. And that soul needs to be held in special energy. So that Kesdjan body needs to be developed with a special energy, which is all part of our efforts that we're doing to create it. In the New Age, there's lots of different ideas of what the astral body is. Some people say it's that spirit body, once you die, comes back and can visit people as some people say as a ghost, as a spirit. It's your continuation of yourself after you've died. But does it last? And many traditions say it does disintegrate over time. And Gurdjieff says that as well, which is why we must make a strong Kesdjan body. And then once we're working with that, with our soul in it, then it gets developed into a higher body. But as we're living in this day-to-day life and we're trying to develop it, we need that astral body to be strong. Not strong that it repels everything, but strong enough to be able to work with, strong enough to be able to contain that soul when it goes into it. And our astral body gets damaged by our day-to-day life. But it can also be repaired by our day-to-day life with the way we're working on ourselves and the way we handle things and living with a loving, kind, generous attitude. We're developing it, but not to be misused, not to be taken advantage of by other people, which is all back down to what I've been saying in other shows about developing that conscience, and developing awareness will help us with the development of our astral body as well as our day-to-day life. So All and Everything, page 437. They also should then have existed without foul until their second being body, Kesdjan, had been completely coated in them and finally perfected by reason up to the sacred Ishmesh. And there's all these different sacred impulses that we can attain to. And if those of you that have read Beelzebub's Tales know what Beelzebub gets to towards the end of the book, encouraging us to work towards these sacred impulses ourselves so that we can develop ourselves. And as he's saying here, it's the second being body, Kesdjan, because it is our second body. It's around us, but we need it when we die and our physical body has gone and is rotting away. Well, it's just stopped working. So All and Everything, page 764. From such cosmic results, exactly similar forms began to be coated in their common presences, at first from the substances transformed by the sun and by other planets of that solar system. And I've done a show on astrology and how the different planets affect us and their energies coming from them. You know, we need to learn to work with them as well. But the important one for us also is the solar energies. It's a nice sunny day here. We're having a mini heat wave here in sunny England. Gorgeous weather out there. You know, trying to be out there in the sun as much as I can. Did a show with Josh the other day and ended up having a bright pink face because it's my first day out in the hot sun for a long time. But hey, I enjoyed it. So, transformed by the sun and by other planets of that solar system, which cosmic substances reach every planet through the radiations of the said cosmic concentrations. In this way, the common presences, us, began to be composed of two different independent formations arisen from two entirely different cosmic sources, and these began to have a joint existence as if one were placed within the other. They began to call them beings, which then meant two-natured. And these same second coatings alone began to be called bodies, Kesdjan. So we've got the two bodies, the physical body that we're living in, and our Kesdjan body that we're also kind of living in. We can't quite see it, but we can develop it. And a couple of pages later, page 766, that objective terror which occurs to the already arisen higher being parts, who, owing to all results in new cosmic process unforeseen from above, have not yet perfected themselves up to the necessary gradations of reason. The point is that according to various second grade cosmic laws, the being body, Kesdjan, cannot exist long in this sphere. And at the end of a certain time, this second part must decompose, irrespective of whether the higher being part existing with it had by that time attained the requisite degree of reason. So this is again after our death, the soul's gone into that Kesdjan body if we've developed it. But we've also had to develop our, as it says, requisite degree of reason, our objective reason, because it helps develop the next stage for our soul after the Kesdjan body starts deteriorating. So we need to make a strong Kesdjan body to last as long as we can get it to last, so that it's ready for us and ready to hold the soul for when we do move on and it starts decomposing. So our physical body decomposes, and so does our Kesdjan body afterwards. All and Everything, page 788. The substances which had to enter into the common presences of beings for the coating and feeding of their second being bodies, Kesdjan, that totality called air, might at the same time serve as just such a help coming from outside for the evolution of the substances of the first being food. So we've got air, the food we eat normally, you know, to feed our bodies, and the impressions we get is the third food that we can use to develop ourselves. And sometimes I think, is the Kesdjan body, because it's called an astral body, it's on a different vibration from the physical body, obviously. So is it some kind of air version of ourselves? Something I'm just pondering on. Maybe others have something to say to that. All and Everything, page 802. All free-centered beings of our great megalocosmos constantly carry on a relentless struggle against the wishes of their planetary body, so that there should be formed in them in this struggle from the what is called dispute Cronian friction, those sacred crystallizations from which their higher divine being part arises and is perfected in them. Dispute Cronian frictions. We've got the word dispute there, and you know, I've said it before in other shows. There's a part of us that doesn't want to do this. Maybe there's many eyes in us that doesn't want to do this. And that's going to cause all this friction, and we've got to use that friction that's coming to help create. You know, there's another part of us that's saying, I want to do this, I want to develop, I want to become harmonious, I want to be real I. You know, and it's got to overcome that one that's niggling at us, going, oh, no, go and watch the TV, go and do something else, go and open that can of beer. You know, and with that friction that's created from it, as Gurdjieff has said, you know, we have to use this suffering as work. We use that suffering and change that energy and create it instead into developing ourselves. Page 1049 of All and Everything. The duration of the existence of these favourites of yours, because he's talking to his grandson here, the duration of the existence of these favourites of yours was in the beginning also. All us nit amnion, that is to say, they had to exist until their body Kesdjan was completely coated in them and perfected up to the required gradation of reason. So even if we coat that body, we've still got to have that required gradation of reason developed in us. I'm pretty sure if you had the required gradation of reason, you probably have developed your Kesdjan body. So something to ponder on as well. And he talks about the substances, these sacred substances. Abros-donis and help-donis are just those substances by which the higher being bodies of free brain beings, namely the body Kesdjan and the body of the soul, are in general formed and perfected. And I had abrastos earlier. Let me see where I had it. It's in the wrong book I'm looking at. So, because our abrastos and our help-dunius are part of things that we can create in us. And he talks about it a lot in his books, and we need them. They're substances from when we're doing certain of the exercises and the coming together of the certain of the laws. And I picked up the wrong book. I don't think I have it in this one. Anyway, again, it's something to ponder on. I'm sure there are lots of articles out there you can find online that will go further into these words. So again, it just says it's active mentation, which is what, funny enough, Josh was talking about in the show that I did recently with him, the one on the Enneagram. We talk about active mentation in that. So that is using these energies. They're the energies that we're creating. We're being active mentation when we're doing the work. And when them energies are coming together, they start developing our Kesdjan body. Oh, you still there? Sorry, just bashing the laptop. Right then, let's see. So this is from Views from the Real World, page 215. In order to have the necessary matter or capital, we must begin to economize. So he's talking about energies here and how we, use these energies to create. The reserve of substances which has to be accumulated must be large. Otherwise, what there is will soon be dissipated. And we waste energy all the time. Even if materials which are required for the formation of a soul are being constantly produced in the organism, they are dispersed and dissolved in it. There must be a surfeit of such materials in the organism. Only then is crystallization possible. The material crystallized after such a surfeit takes the form of a man's physical body, is a copy of it, and may be separated from the physical body. Each body has a different life, and each is subject to different orders of laws. The new or second body is called the astral body. And I hope many of you have read Knott's books because they're fantastic. But he talks about when, after Oraj's death, Oraj came back to him like a ghost, but in this shining astral body. Well, it was his Kesdjan body, all full of light and illuminating, looking happy and radiant. And that's what we're attaining to create. We need to make that body ready for us. And it's all to do with crystallization. And Gurdjieff talks about crystallization all the time. We can crystallize wrongly with negativity and the dark side. We want to crystallize with the light. What, as I've said before, be the Jedi you want to be, but you need to work on yourself and create that crystallization in yourself and make that body come around. Views from the Real World, page 216. If the second body succeeds in becoming crystallized in a man before his death, it can continue to live after the death of the physical body. The matter of this astral body in its vibrations corresponds to matter of the sun's emanations and is theoretically indestructible within the confines of the earth and its atmosphere. All the same, the duration of its life can be different. It can live a long time, or its existence can end very quickly. This is because, like the first, the second body also has centers. It also lives and also receives impressions. And since it lacks sufficient experience and material of impressions, it must, like a newborn baby, receive a certain education. Otherwise, it is helpless and cannot exist independently, and very soon disintegrates like the physical body. As above, so below. What can exist in one set of conditions cannot exist in another. If the astral body comes up against matter of finer vibrations, it disintegrates. So what was I going to say about that? Why did I do that? Well, there's lots of things to say about that one. Just create that Kesdjan body, peoples. So in Search of the Miraculous, page 32. So this is Ouspensky. What may be called the astral body is obtained by means of fusion, that is, by means of terribly hard work and struggle. And then he goes on page 97. People who have an astral body can communicate with one another at a distance without having recourse to ordinary physical means. So Gurdjieff must have had his, well, I'm pretty confident that he had his made. You know, I'm sure many of you have read about Ouspensky receiving telepathic messages from him. I know people have said about it in the comments in other shows. So we can create it in this life and use it. But at the same time, you don't want to waste the energy from it. In Search of the Miraculous, page 256. The whole of the physical body, all its cells are, so to speak, permeated by emanations of the matter of C12. And when they become sufficiently saturated, the matter of C12 begins to crystallize. The crystallization of this matter constitutes the formation of the astral body. And I'm sure most of you got Ouspensky's books. He's got the graphs and the pictures of the octave and how all the energies work, going up through from do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. We're trying to get up and round. Octaves are circular. It will start again, but on a higher level. Once you've finished one octave, you go to the next higher octave and octave up, 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 up. But you can also fall down if you go the wrong way. And we want to crystallize upwards. And I'm going to finish with a quote from Charles Knott. The normal life of the Kesdjan body is a passion for understanding, of the mental body, the power to understand. So peoples, let's get developing them Kesdjan bodies and try and create astral bodies. Don't eat too many Easter eggs this Easter like I did, because they get stuck in your throat and make you cough. Remember the Christ impulse, remember the Christ power. Use that if you can. He's always there to call upon, as is Mr. Gurdjieff and probably Mr. Ouspensky too.